Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of AJ Chats. Yes, this series where I just sit down every other Saturday bi-weekly and I talk about something on my mind related to films, comics or whatever it might be at the time. Today I'm going to look at excitement levels. Yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, yeah, welcome back everyone. So AJ Chats, not to be confused with me going live. This isn't me going live, obviously. This is me just sitting down and mulling stuff over that goes around in my head. What is this? Is episode 9? I don't know. I can't keep up with it. Not until I make the thumbnail. And I will get around to that at some point after I've done this. So I want to talk about excitement and excitement levels for films. Because at the moment, I'm just not feeling it. Yeah. Okay, so as it stands at the moment, very little comes along, very little that actually really provokes any form of excitement in me at all. Case in point, right? We're a week away from Black Adam. Black Adam's coming at us 21st of October, and I'm a huge superhero fan. I love superhero comics. I love the superhero genre in film. But I've got no excitement for this. I saw the trailers, yeah, and because of I'll go into the reasons why I'm not excited. But I'm not saying, what's that flashing? Oh, see that? Oh yeah, so I'm looking, there's flashing on the Captain America box there, but what I've just realised is that it's my watch somehow reflecting the light off of it that's being reflected back into that. Anyway, that was distracting, shall we say. So anyway, Black Adam. So I've seen the trailers. I saw the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, the newer one that was shown at the same time as the Shazam trailer. Now there's the first thing, right, is that it's a Shazam character. Black Adam is like a sort of darker version of Shazam. So the power, the power set is of similar ilk, and thusly there's one of the reasons why I've got a little interest at the time, because I feel like I'm watching the same film or same character as we've got there, visually, aesthetically, power base and all that, and what he can do. So nothing fresh, but and the other part of this one could be because of DC and all their cancellations and the uncertainty of the DC future and what they're giving us, and whether this will or will not open the door to the ongoing DC universe, or whether it will fail and they will go another direction. We don't know. But this is just a small part of a bigger thing, because I honestly cannot remember the last time, beyond maybe Endgame, Avengers Endgame, when I saw a trailer that actually sparked any enthusiasm in me, any excitement in me. The Joker done it, looking at that poster there. I remember the trailer for that, and I was excited. But these are very few and far between instances. And I'm trying to explore why. I'm trying to figure out in my mind, why is this? Why is it? Because, I mean, I can put it down to several different things, and I'll go into them. So firstly, it is my age, okay? It's no secret that I'm sort of at midlife, that midlife crisis stage of living, where there's potentially, more than likely, less in front of me than what there is behind. And that's quite a daunting prospect when you get to that point and you have this realisation that actually there's more back there than what there is going that way. And you're at a point in your life where everything is just this downward spiral. To paraphrase City Slickers, I've been the best I can be. I've done the best I can do. Do you know what I mean? And all this sort of a thing, like what he says in that. It's just this downward hill, and that's quite depressing thought, isn't it? Really, not that it really bothers me, but there we go. But do you know what I mean? You start reverting back into a baby. You revert back as you get old. You're essentially reverting back into your younger self, but in an older body. I mean, look at it. Babies, they can't get themselves to the toilet on time. You know, I can't, there'll be a point when I can't get myself into the toilet on time, which is quite ironic, really, because I've got a tattoo on my shoulder of, of War Machine. I've got a War Machine tattoo up there, and it came from a comic called US War Machine, and it states on it, "Relentless and Invincible." So I've got this badge on my arm, and there I am, there I'll be. I've pictures of me as an old man with relentless and invincible on my shoulder, suffering the indignity of not being able to get to the toilet on time. Do you know what I mean? It's quite sort of a contradictory, isn't it? But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So there's my age, the age factor, right? Is it that, I'm seeing everything now through this glass half empty kind of eyewear? I don't know. Is it that is it that I'm at that sort of moany point in life where, nothing can compare to what it was when I was younger? And this brings me on to the other sort of thing, the other aspect of it, is that I grew up, I was born in the 70s, sort of mid-70s. I grew up in the 80s, which for me, personally, me thinking the 80s were probably the richest era for cinema. The late 70s into the 80s, into the early 90s, mid-90s, that sort of 15-20 year span was probably the richest time for cinemas, and for film. Special effects sort of started to come into their own. There was a lot of creativity. Look at the designs of things. Look at the films that you got through those sort of eras: Terminator, Aliens, Predator, RoboCop, Jurassic Park. There's so much wonderful, wonderful stuff, right? That the stuff today just cannot compete back then. Why do you think we're getting all the remakes of those older films constantly? Because they were so rich. There's such a rich tapestry of stuff back then in that era. And now we come into this era now where filmmaking has changed. Filmmaking certainly has changed. It has. Audiences ain't got the attention span that they used to have. We've got a younger generation of people that they consume their content a lot quicker than what we do with TikTok and things like this. A story doesn't hold their interest. A story really doesn't hold their interest. And this is why films today are much brasher, much flashier, much more action set and fast paced from the get-go of the film to the end, right? Gone is character development. Gone is some, slower pacing to build tension. It's all about wham, bam, bam, straight away, and giving you what they've got. And this is the other side of it. Is it that filmmaking has become more stagnant, more boring, and everything looks the same? Christ, all the films look the same. Yes, I know all the Marvel films look the same, but, special effects are at that point now where you're not even wowed by it. Back in the day, you saw a T-Rex and you were like, wow, look at that. First time I've ever seen a dinosaur on screen. Yeah, and films used special effects sparingly. They did, because of how difficult it was to do them. But now you get a film and it's literally visual effects from beginning to end. Yeah, you don't know where the film stops and the visual effects start. And there's that other element to it, and that seems like more of a focus in film than what the story does. So is it that the films were richer back then, and that I'm just looking at that era and comparing that era to now, and this era being worse? But then the other side of that is like my father. My father, he would watch the films in the 80s and the 90s, obviously. He still watches films now, but he would always say these films are not as good as the films when I was younger, right? So is that the other side of it as well? Am I that? Have I become that I just don't deem films today being as good as they were back then? Because I think that the 80s and 90s, late 70s, 80s, early 90s, and all that sort of thing were far better than the films that came a couple of decades before. I could have that argument. So they are better than that because, the stories became more interesting. There was more imaginative things going on in the films and all this sort of a thing. So I guess part of it is sort of the era from which you come. But certainly the films today, they're nowhere near as good as these older films that we used to get. But is that just me saying it because I'm getting old and grumpy, like my father before me? These films ain't as good. I don't know, but I honestly believe they're not as good today. I honestly believe that audience retention has dropped, and that in turn creates films that are not as good, not as interesting, not as thought provoking, not as there are films that come along that do this, but there's no real room for them because it's all spectacle. The Hollywood blockbuster used to be, a couple a year. You had 2, 3, 4 films a year that were blockbuster movies. Now it's every week. The summer season doesn't really exist anymore. It's all year round that you get these films, these consistent films that honestly, they leave no room for the smaller independent films that might come along and might make you think and might have really fantastic stories. There's a lot of risk in making those films now because no one sees them, and it's a loss to the companies. It's a financial loss. But yeah, so I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to this question. I mean, like I said, I've got my ideas. I can pinpoint, and it might be a collective of all of them coming together into play, into one hit. But do you feel the same? Do you get this? Are you not excited by the stuff that comes today? Is that excitement also dwindled by the fact that we know that this film, I don't have to wait around for a film, right? A cinema release comes along. Why should I get excited for it when I know that I can be watching it on Blu-ray or DVD, maybe 2-3 months max down the line? 45 days for Marvel. Why even get excited for Marvel now? Because they're giving you so much content on Disney Plus anyway, which is visually, aesthetically very similar to what you get in the films. So you're getting drip fed it. I mean, it's not even drip fed it. It's been forced down your throat from Disney Plus. If a new Star Wars film come along, would there be much excitement for it in the cinema, considering I can sit down and watch Star Wars every week on Disney Plus, a new episode almost every week? Does that detract from the excitement of the big screen? Is that playing a part of it with this superhero? Is it a fatigue? Is it a fatigue or is it just in me? I don't know. And it was just something I wanted to explore and get out there and wonder if anyone else is feeling the same sort of stuff. When was the last time you was excited by something, even coming away from films after watching them? I can't think of something that blew me away beyond maybe Dune did it and Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, but I hadn't ever seen the first Top Gun film till the day before I went to see Maverick because I didn't like that young era of Tom Cruise. I like what Tom Cruise does now. So I saw that film and I went to see Maverick and I thought, wow, that's a fantastic film. However, I'm not feeling this urge to rewatch it again. And is that age coming into play? Is that age coming into play, or is it just that there's such a vast amount of film that I have in my collection that giving up time for something like that again so soon just doesn't appeal, because it's happening with the later Marvel stuff now as well. And I just don't know where I'm at with it. I don't know where my mind is at, where my head is at. I don't know if it's me, if it's the industry doing it to me, if it's the way things are changing out there. I'd really like your input. I'd really like to for you to think about how you feel about this stuff. And because I see people getting excited online, or they seem to be getting excited, and I don't understand how you're getting excited for this stuff. I really don't. Halloween Ends is out today. It's out today, and certainly, as I'm recording this, and certainly I'm going to watch it, and there's probably going to be a review up before you're even watching this. But am I excited for it? No. I mean, I'm not a big Halloween fan anyway or anything like that, so I understand. But I don't understand how people are getting excited for this stuff when it's churned out so often. When like a film series like this, it's got so many starts and stops and starts and stops again, so many sort of timelines to it. You know, if I was a big fan of the film series, I'd probably be quite miffed about that. How they tread on the ones that come before to get a new timeline out. I don't know. I'm just voicing this, and that's what this series is about. Me just going on here, talking, voicing my opinion on crap, and seeing what you think about it, seeing if it provokes any sort of thought and interest in your head, and gets you thinking about these subjects, and start a discussion down below maybe. Why not? Come along and do it. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that for this week. And I will be back in 2 weeks with another AJ Chats. I might do one that's sort of more Halloween-centric. No, I don't mean Halloween as in the film, but it will be a couple of days before Halloween itself. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to come back, and I am going to talk about why I haven't done anything major like other channels have for Halloween, and what Halloween means to me, and my history with Halloween, and why I choose not to really do anything. And that goes into my thoughts on horror films and all this sort of thing. So come back in 2 weeks and join me for that one. This is AJ. Leave a comment, hit the subscribe button, and I shall see you all very soon. Take care all, and goodbye.